In Colorado right now, parents are putting their children on childcare waitlists before they are even born. The hunt for an open infant or toddler seat is fiercely competitive, and even parents who plan months ahead often come up entirely empty-handed. When they do manage to find a spot, the sticker shock is staggering. This chart shows the reality for a typical family in the state's largest counties. While the federal government defines affordable childcare as 7% of a family's income, Colorado families are regularly spending nearly 25%. Infant care at a center averages roughly $21,000 every single year. If you look at the situation through a standard economic lens, the math seems obvious. You have practically infinite consumer demand, severely restricted supply, and sky-high retail prices. In almost any other industry, those conditions produce a highly lucrative, rapidly expanding business sector. On paper, Colorado childcare looks like a modern gold rush. It creates the natural assumption that facility owners must be making incredible profits at the expense of desperate families. But the state's own licensing data from July 2023 to July 2026 reveals a reality that completely contradicts that assumption. This map shows Colorado's licensed childcare facilities. In 36 months, 955 programs went completely out of business. These closures erased 39,246 seats, leaving tens of thousands of families suddenly without the care they relied on. Families are paying record prices for a service that is simultaneously vanishing. Demand is at an all-time high, but the businesses designed to meet it are being crushed under their own weight. To understand why, we have to look at the people actually running these programs. The vast majority are small business owners, often local women, and they operate on the slimmest of margins. First, they face the unavoidable costs of keeping children safe and healthy. They pay commercial rent, liability insurance premiums, and facility maintenance, and daily food costs immediately absorb the bulk of that $21,000 tuition. This diagram shows how revenue is spent. Operational costs press down from the top, while an expanding block of regulatory compliance pushes up from the bottom. Duplicative paperwork, shifting rules, and slow licensing consume the remaining cash, until the profit margin vanishes. When the rules governing a business change constantly, and the paperwork required to prove compliance duplicates itself across multiple state agencies, operating a neighborhood care center turns into a bureaucratic exercise that has little to do with the actual care of children. The astronomical tuition paid by parents is absorbed by this systemic friction long before it can ever become profit for the provider. 90% of closures were private programs, 10% were school district operated. While the state reported a net gain of 5,800 seats, the system runs on a grueling treadmill. 800 new programs, generating 40,000 seats, were required just to replace those vanished. The collapse of a neighborhood childcare program is an economic event that immediately impacts the surrounding workforce. Childcare is the infrastructure that allows every other industry to function. 65% of Colorado families with young children have every parent fully employed. Economists estimate that when childcare access shrinks, the state risks losing up to $2.2 billion in annual economic output, as parents are forced to cut their hours or quit their jobs entirely. A fragile, churning childcare market creates a foundational infrastructure crisis. When this industry fails to provide seats, it stalls the entire state's economy. In response to this, many voices call for building a massive, universal, state-run program. Standardizing care into a one-size-fits-all model tends to crowd out the diverse, independent, and neighborhood providers that many families prefer. It forces parents into a rigid system, rather than supporting the flexible choices they are actually asking for. The fastest way to increase the supply of available seats is to let the childcare market work by clearing the bureaucratic obstacles holding it back. This starts with ease of use. Sensible health and safety standards protect children, but eliminating the shifting requirements and duplicative paperwork removes the artificial overhead that kills small programs. We can also adopt a choice-first approach. This flowchart illustrates how public support should work. Instead of filtering money through a central bureaucracy, funding flows directly to parents. The family then decides exactly where to spend it, whether that is a large center, a home-based provider, or a faith-based program. Finally, the state can act as a financial partner by actively rewarding private investment. Tools like the 50% Child Care Contribution Tax Credit pull private dollars into the field, expanding capacity without requiring taxpayers to foot the entire bill. Removing the weight of redundant bureaucracy lowers the cost of staying in business, while forcing providers to compete for parent-directed dollars creates downward pressure on tuition. By lowering overhead for small businesses and letting the market expand, Colorado can finally deliver care at a price more families can afford.